Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome to a Sunday edition of Inside Arsenal. I hope you are all enjoying the weekend wherever you are watching or listening to this around the world. First of all, couldn't get to do a video yesterday, so apologies for that. But it was a bit of a family day in London yesterday, taking the kids to see Frozen the musical in Covent Garden, which was a mixture of fun stroke stress. So yeah, didn't get time to do a video, but we'll catch up on a few things today. Bit of a Sunday roundup. Of course, no Arsenal men's action this weekend because of the international break. There is a big women's game, though, at the Emirates later today against Aston Villa, 2 p.m. kickoff. And I think we will see the return to action of Beth Mead after such a long time out with that cruciate ligament injury, which is fantastic news. Jonas Eivelt confirming in the sort of build up to this game that barring any late sort of setbacks, she would be involved in this one, which is just going to be such a great thing to see for all Arsenal and England fans, of course. And Vivian meanwhile not too far behind her by all accounts. She's back in full training. Leah Williamson back out on the grass, but we're going to have to wait a fair while longer yet to see Leah Williamson, but great to see her sort of getting closer to her return. But yeah, big game in the Emirates, over 33,000 tickets sold as well. So going to be another huge crowd there. Hopefully this time Arsenal can get the result that the large majority of the crowd are going to want to see, unlike against Liverpool on the opening weekend of the season. So there is some Arsenal interest today, so get yourself down to the Emirates if you fancy some football today. We'll talk about Thomas Partey to start this episode. Now, there's a bit of concern doing the rounds today because he played for Ghana overnight in their friendly against Mexico, which they lost 2-0 over in the United States. Started the game but only lasted 45 minutes, was replaced by Chris Hughton at half time. My understanding of it is that this was a sort of just a fitness related thing, as in a pre-arranged type thing. It was like, we'll give him 45 minutes, going to carefully manage his fitness. Ghana are well aware that he's only just come back from a long injury, only played about 20 minutes or so. So it was always just going to be sort of 45 minutes for this. Might well be similar on Wednesday night when they play in Nashville, I think it is, against the USA, that they are just sort of in conversation with Arsenal, just being a little bit careful with Thomas Partey. These are friendlies, they're not qualifiers. You don't need to take any risks, and that's what Ghana's doing. So I don't think there's anything to be concerned about in terms of him going off at halftime. From my understanding of the situation, it is a bit of a pre-arranged thing. And yeah, good that Ghana are doing that, and they are being sensible. Lost 2-0, 0-0 when he went off at halftime, lost 2-0 in the end to Mexico over in the States. And yeah, they got that game on Wednesday night. Not going to be ideal, that Wednesday night over in Nashville, they're playing the USA, and then they got to get back Arsenal's game on Saturday against Chelsea. When you sort of think about Partey and the long flights there, it's not ideal. I can't imagine we'll be seeing Thomas Partey start at Stamford Bridge, probably because of that. But we all saw what happened against City. I think it worked really, really well. Jorginho starting that game, Declan Rice playing a little bit further ahead, and then Partey coming on in the second half when needed, and Arsenal finished that game very, very strongly because of the substitution. It wouldn't surprise me if that's kind of similar to what we see on Saturday at Stamford Bridge. So I don't think it's anything necessarily to be worried about when it comes to Thomas Partey. There was other international interest for Arsenal over the last couple of days. Zinchenko playing yesterday. They kept their hopes. Ukraine kept their hopes of qualifying in England's group, of course, alive with a 2-0 win against North Macedonia. Kai Havertz played a few minutes for Germany. Didn't start the game, came on as they beat USA 3-1. Odegaard's playing for Norway, I think, tonight. They've got a tough game, actually. They've got Spain, I think, later on tonight. Big game for Norway, that. And, of course, Eddie Nketiah as well. Big moment for him playing for England, coming on against... God, totally forgotten. He played Australia, wasn't it, in the 1-0 win on Friday night. For some reason, build up to that, I thought it was on Saturday night, but it was on Friday night. But a really big moment for Eddie Nketiah. A lot of changes by Gareth Southgate in that game. I think we're going to see a much stronger team on Tuesday night. Whether we see Eddie playing that, I'm not sure. And of course, if he plays in that, then that's him committed to England for the rest of his career. The fact he played against Australia on Friday night because it was a friendly means he still could technically play for Ghana. Ghana, we heard last week, still hadn't given up hope of getting Eddie Nketiah to commit to them. But if Eddie does get a chance, does get some minutes against on Tuesday night, Italy on Tuesday night, then that's it. no Garner for Eddie. So we'll wait and see what Gareth Southgate does. But a really big game. You see here, if you watch it on the screen, Eddie tweeted his England debut. I mean, a really special moment for him when you think about where Eddie's come from, the path through from Hale End, to come up and get his England debut, following in the footsteps of fellow Hale End Academy graduates like Bukayo, like Emil recently. A really big moment for him. So congratulations to Eddie Nketiah. Right, I just wanted to speak a little bit about Charlie Patino. I thought he gave an interesting interview. He's away with England under 21s at the moment, and he's been speaking about kind of his future. He's been speaking about Arsenal, what his ambitions remains. Obviously, over in playing for Swansea this season on loan in the Championship. Had a good start. He's got a goal. He's got 3 assists, I think, in 9 appearances now this season. He's making a big impression. Just got awarded the Swansea Goal of the Month. Really good goal, that one as well. So not surprising. Great finish. And he's been talking while away with England under 21s. This is what he had to say sort of about his time at Arsenal when he plays with the first team, that sort of thing. He talks about Saliba as well, which we'll get to. He says, training with the Arsenal first team every day has helped me develop on and off the pitch. Made me really confident. I kept going back and it felt like I was part of the first team because I was learning under them. They got some real leaders like Odegaard, like Bukayo, who's come up through the ranks. Getting advice from him and Emil Smith-Rowe has been really good for me. When I first went over to train with the first team, Emil, Eddie, Bukayo, they came over to me, put their arms around my shoulder and just said, enjoy yourself, play with a smile on your face and just express yourself. We was talking about Saliba as well and how, Saliba going out on loan and coming back, getting himself into the Arsenal first team is really inspiring him. He said, look, Saliba's a different player to me. He's a centre-back, big, powerful. But for me, it's inspiring to see someone from Arsenal being able to go out on loan, make a name for himself and come back and show his qualities at Arsenal because it is a massive club. And he talks about how his ambition is still to play for Arsenal. That's what he wants to do. And he said that, it's a bit of a message to Arteta maybe. He was talking about what he needs to improve while he's at Swansea. He says, physicality is one of the main aspects I want to improve. I go in every day and do extra recovery, extra gym sessions to better myself, to become a better player. I think it's important because if I want to step up and be a Premier League player, the games are a lot quicker now and you have to be ready for one-on-one duels. And that happens all over the pitch. I thought there were interesting comments from Patino. The fact that he reiterated in that interview that his desire was still to make it at Arsenal, to go back and become an Arsenal player. Now, it was a difficult summer for Patino. It was probably a confusing summer more than a difficult summer, actually, because it started off and there was, there was an agreement basically between all parties that, okay, we're going to let him go permanently. He can move on and sort of try and kick on his career because there's not really any sort of pathway at Arsenal. So that agreement that happened. Then as the summer went on, opinions, minds started to change a little bit and it was okay. And then it was decided, all right, actually, you can go out on loan. Not, no new deal has been signed or anything like that. So when he comes back in the summer, he's only going to have a year left on his contract, but everyone's going to sit down and reassess things then. So, I've said this before, like all the options are available to Charlie still. Arsenal do like Charlie Patino, and it's just about, they're not going to hold a player back if they don't think he's going to be close enough to get in the first team. And for Patino and his people as well, it's like the thought of, why would they sign a new long-term contract with Arsenal now, which is going to have to happen if he's going to stay? Why would you do that now if there's not really a pathway, if you're not sure that there's a pathway? So I think everyone's going to see how this season pans out. If Charlie can smash it, if he can go out and play really, really well, and he started very well, then he come back and sit down again, then it could be a very different scenario. So all options are very much available for Charlie, and I'm just glad to see him doing so well. And he started so well with Swansea. He's made himself, he's getting himself into England under 21s, and good luck to him. I really hope he has a successful season, and we'll wait and see. But I thought those were interesting comments from him about his time so far at Swansea and his ambitions. Okay, I'm going to do a fair few sort of questions and comments now. This is actually one that I thought was quite interesting on the sort of back of the Patino stuff. So it says, Arsenal's culture of managing academy players is disgraceful. When Wenger was manager, they would die in for talented youth players like Nelson, Balogun, Smith-Rowe, Saka, Norton, Cuffin, Patino. But all we had was overrated players like Zelalem, Akpom and Iwobi. To see Arsenal selling talented academy players for peanuts, spending exorbitant amounts of money for useless big-name players like Pepe and Havertz is a joke. And the fans wonder every season why we haven't won the PL or the CL. So I don't really understand this. I think, Arsenal have got in their first team at the moment Bukayo Saka. Emil Smith-Rowe in the squad anyway, who are still getting minutes. Eddie Nketiah is starting at the moment pretty much every game. Might well change soon with people coming back from injury, but Eddie's played a lot this season. Emil's got some minutes. Bakay's playing all the time this season. There's not many teams in the Premier League that can say that about academy players, and so I'm not sure you can really have a go at Arsenal managing their academy players. And Balogun, they've sold. You say he's sold for peanuts. Arsenal's biggest sales for the last few years have pretty much all been academy players. Balogun, Iwobi, Emi Martinez, who you could class as that, Joe Willock. So I don't think they've really been selling them for peanuts. I think Arsenal's pretty much the only decent money Arsenal have got in for players in the past few years is through academy players. And, that's what they want. That's what the loan system that they're using is for now. Not every academy player can make it in the first team at Arsenal, but the key thing is that if they're talented, you can sell them on for big money, and that makes Haaland, self-sustainable, and because of all the investment that Arsenal put into Haaland. So I don't really understand that comment, to be honest. I think it's a little bit harsh, but thanks anyway for getting involved. There's one here from there's two here actually I thought were interesting. One from Mr. Blinkenheck. This is in response to Jack Wilshere potentially going to Colorado Rapids. Of course, he's had an interview with them about becoming their first team coach. Nothing decided yet. They are talking to other people as well. But I spoke about it on Friday's show. Mr. Blinkenheck says it's far too soon for Jack to leave. In my opinion, he's nowhere near ready at the moment for a senior role. I think he should do another 12 months at the youth team at least, and then perhaps, if an option, another 12 months as an assistant to Mikel. That would be good. He's only 31. And here's one from, is it Gnostic Truth? Who says, "Hi, Charles. I live in Denver and I'm a Rapids fan. Honestly, I love Jack and I don't know if he should take the Rapids job. So much has to be done, and KSC is not treating the club well. Jack's boss would be Patrick Smith. Smith will not give him the tools needed to be successful. Wilshere or whoever takes the Rapids job will be asked to do the impossible at 31. It may be too soon." Yeah, thanks very much for that. I asked for that if there was a Colorado sort of fan or an expert who could give their opinion on it. And I agree. I still feel like this could be a move too soon for Jack at 31, taking on a really difficult job where, the Rapids are really, really struggling, where there's lots of fan unrest, when the ownership at the moment doesn't appear to be really, sort of backing the team very much and giving them the investment they need to get them off the floor, which is where they have been for a fair while. It just feels like a difficult job for Jack. I mean, admittedly, you could sort of look at it from another point of view and say, well, they can't get any worse. So, the only direction he can take that place is up, which I suppose is an argument. But I don't know. I still feel like Mr. Blinkenheck says here, I feel like staying another 12 months. He's only been in the job 1 year at under 18 level. And he came into that job totally inexperienced. That was his first ever gig. So it just feels to me like stick it around for another year, Jack. Continue to learn, where you've got a massive support network where you can go over whenever you want, sort of watch Mikel's training sessions as well, join in sometimes, learn from him, go back to the under 18s, continue the job you're doing there, and then reassess maybe a year from now or even 2 years from now. You don't have to rush into anything. You don't have to take a job just because you get offered one in a senior role. So, yeah, that would be my thinking. But look, who am I to tell Jack Wilshere what to do? I had another comment here. I haven't got it on the screen, but I remember I read a comment one of you guys sent in saying that when's Jack's ever pulled out of a 50-50, and that's true. He's always that sort of combative figure who likes to take on a challenge, who goes into 50-50s, and maybe he's looking at it like this, thinking it's a real big challenge for me. I want to take it. I want to take it head on because that's his personality, and that could be the case as well. So whatever he decides, good luck to him. But I kind of hope that maybe he decides to stick it out at Arsenal for at least another year to continue to learn. Here's one from Yavin Wonders. A few of you sent in comments like this. It's in response to on Friday, TalkSport, the Andy Goldstein, it was a drive show. Andy Goldstein, Darren Bent. I just picked my kids up from school, was traveling back, and was listening to it. And all of a sudden they started talking about my book, and Andy Goldstein was going in on it, taking the mick out of it, about, revolution. What type of revolution is there? They've not won anything. And then he sort of tied it into a phone in for the most embarrassing fans. Who's got the most embarrassing fans? And they kind of tied it all into my book. It was, cheers, Andy. Thanks for that, mate. And here's one from Yavin. Says, "Hi, Charles. What do you make of TalkSport's mockery of your book by Andy Goldstein? It's very funny for someone not not to see the strides made by Mikel since he took over. The club was in crisis. For him to take over, stabilise the ship, and get the club to compete again for major honours is a great revolution itself. They simply don't know what they're talking about. We may not have won any major honours since the FA Cup, but every sign is progress. Yeah, look, I mean, I didn't care, to be honest. It was quite, I was laughing about it with my kids in the car. We were listening to it. And look, it's taught sport. They, kind of know what they do. They need to, it's the kind of clickbait type stuff, isn't it? Where they'll say something to generate a response, and it's just an easy win for them, isn't it? It's an easy hour-long part of a show is who's got the most embarrassing fans, and then you sort of tie it into that, and you're going to have Tottenham fans ringing up, and it's just going to be, you're going to get your phone lines clogged up, and people are going to have their say. So it doesn't really bother me, and I really like Andy Goldstein. To be fair, I like Drive. Him and Darren Bent are really good. I just thought when I was listening to it, I was like, why not? It's not hard to find me. And instead of just talking about it, why didn't they just, if they decided they were going to talk about this and do this big show of it, why didn't they get in touch with me beforehand and say, do you want to come on and talk about it and explain it? I just like, why haven't they done that? And, they basically did that whole show on reading the title. They hadn't read the book. They didn't know what it was about. And I don't think they even knew I was a journalist, judging by it, because they tried to link it into most embarrassing fans. And they didn't realize it was a sort of journalistic take of the last 4 years, an inside story of what's gone on and the big decisions that have been made, the Aubameyang, the Ozil, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, that was the only thing. I didn't mind them doing the thing. Look, any publicity is good publicity, I suppose. But I just thought, why on earth didn't they just reach out to me if they were going to do this and make it a more sort of sensible type section of the show where they actually talked to me and found out what the book was about, rather than just sort of launching into it, reading the title and the sort of synopsis on the show. So that was my thought on it. But to be honest, I wasn't really that bothered. And like I said, I actually really like the Drive show, and I think Goldstein's really good. He makes me laugh, and Darren Bent's really good as well. So yeah, I wasn't overly bothered, to be honest. Here's one from William. He said, "Hi Charles, great video. Do you think perhaps Elneny is being groomed to take the role like Jax? He is heavily pushing his academy, and his dad has previously said he will someday coach for Arsenal." Yeah, look, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Mohamed Elneny, once he hangs up his boots, which I don't think he's ready to do just yet, but once he does, I think he's definitely going to move into coaching. He's learning his badges at Arsenal. He's coaching the youngsters at Arsenal when he can at the moment. He's got his academy as well. He's launching his own, was it sort of Elneny FC, isn't it, where he's looking to get players from a couple of age groups, sort of 11 to 18s, but then also an older age group as well, to try and get them into football. So he's putting a lot of emphasis into this as he gets towards the end of his playing career. He's clearly very, very excited by the prospect of moving into coaching and that sort of thing. And yeah, him and Granit Xhaka were doing it at Arsenal. Cedric was doing it at Arsenal. They're all taking advantage of doing their badges. So whether he's being groomed, so to speak, to take on a role like Jax, I don't know. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if he were to move into the into coaching at Arsenal at some point. But I'm not sure he's ready to hang up his playing boots just yet, Mohamed Elneny. But he's clearly making good moves to sort of get himself set up when it comes to coaching in the future. And good luck to him as well, because he's really putting a lot of effort into it. And he's honestly such a nice guy, Mohamed Elneny. In football, you won't meet a much nicer guy than Mohamed Elneny when you sit there and talk to him. And I speak to a lot of footballers in the past. Mohamed Elneny, absolute quality guy. And good luck to him if that is the move he's going to make. Here's one from Scott here, who says, "Thanks for the incredible content you provide every day. I have a question. Arteta said dropping Gabriel for the first few seasons of the season was tactical, but given how well Gabriel has come into the squad and played alongside Saliba, it seems a strange tactical decision to leave him out at the start of the season. What do you make of that decision? Was it purely tactical in your opinion, or what influence did the Saudi lead interest have on Arteta's decision?" I've said it already before. I don't think it was purely tactical. I think the Saudi thing was definitely 100%. In fact, there was definitely stuff going on. That was... and I can't say for certain that it was purely because of that, but it wasn't. I don't think it was just tactical, not from what I was hearing. There was certainly stuff going on that, until the Saudi window was shut, until everything was sorted, it didn't surprise me that Gabriel came back into the team after that, put it that way. And yeah, I mean, when you look at it, it just doesn't make any sense for it to be tactical, does it? Purely tactical, because Gabriel is one of the best defenders in the world. He's shown that. Him and Saliba are one of the best centre-back partnerships in the world. They've proven that. So it doesn't really make too much sense to hurt your team by not playing him purely because of a tactical reason. It just didn't make too much sense to me. And from what I heard, that there was other stuff going on as well. But look, that's in the past now. He's in the team. Arsenal are looking better for it. And the transfer window's closed, and we can all enjoy having Gabriel and Saliba together once again in the heart of the Arsenal defence. defense. Thank you very much for all those questions. You guys do appreciate your time as always, wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. I hope you have a very, very good end to your weekend. I'll be back tomorrow as we head into the second part of the international break and we get closer and closer to the return of the Premier League. Have a great day, everyone. I'll speak to you soon.